Welcome to DAPs Magic Live. I'm Mr. DAPs, and I'm joined tonight by Murray, who just returned from the Walt Disney World Resort for a holiday trip, hitting all of the parks, really. And we thought we would do another recap of his trip and share how it went and what was good, what was bad, what was amazing, and what was the best food he had while he was there. And Murray, welcome back to California first.
Thank you.
My first question for you, and this is the same question I had for you, I think it was in August when you first went to Walt Disney World, is how did you feel in Florida this time around, now that it's your third trip since the pandemic arrived?
Yeah, and I think we were talking about when you first asked while I was there, it was early on, and so wanted some more time. That I still felt safe, very much overall. There's a lot of mask enforcement. I actually had some fun with the way masks were being enforced, which I might get to, but I've got some stories. So cast members, there's definitely a lot of cast members that are watching out for people wearing masks. There was a little bit of different spacing on rides, but some of that was because of more plexiglass, which it felt safe. I think, and I might have even been talking about this on, we did manage, and I was just remembering when we were starting, we managed to do a park hopping stream while I was there.
That was so fun.
It was a little bit of a glimpse. Yeah. But the plexiglass is kind of weird because it's not that it's unsafe. It just like feels like it because there's been so many months of just like, I am not near people. Suddenly I'm near people again, but there's just like glass in between. So it's more of a weird feeling of like, oh, there's somebody there. Once I got used to it, then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is no problem. This is safe. But the buses are still spread out. Like,
do you have issues with like the plexiglass causing visibility issues at all?
There's only one instance that it did.
Okay.
That was Living with the Land, because
it was like when we were there.
Yeah, it was the same type. It's not the solid, it's not a solid plexiglass. It's more of this like fabric material plexiglass is the best way to describe it. And so because of that, there's a lot of wrinkles. Yeah. So you can see through it, but it's kind of more opaque. And so when you have a ride that, especially during the holiday time, was supposed to be looked at really well with like a lot of, especially with lights. Lights don't do well with the
right, and at night too.
Yeah. So that's the only time that I had a problem with it. But they installed it on Rise. They installed more on Runaway Railway. And at first I was kind of like, oh, okay, there's plexiglass. But then like once the ride got going, I didn't notice at all. It just seemed like a regular thing.
Okay. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
I would think I saw somebody had an issue with it on the Frozen attraction at Epcot. And I could see it was because of the splash in the water that hit all of, so it made that, kind of like when it rains on your hood of your car or on your windshield of your car. And so that caused some issues. And so I was curious if that happened anywhere else for you. But you started your trip. Where'd you start your trip, actually?
So I started in Universal Studios, which these are going to be some pictures of. So I know, we're talking about Disney World, but did start there. The reason was that they had a lot of holiday stuff going on.
Which I never think of. Like, that's cool.
Right. And they actually, I think, even added this year. I've kind of been a little bit in like the overlap from the end of their holiday time into non-holiday time. And I don't remember seeing a lot of this, but like I said, that was the overlap. So I don't know if they took stuff down.
Okay.
But yeah, I had heard that there's tons of stuff going on. The way everything worked out was I rented a car. It took a long time.
Now you're going to really need to do.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. The experience that I had was not too great, but I have some reasons to actually rent a car. And we even had some when you and I went. We had a great experience with renting a car. So Anyway, all I had to say though with Universal is I just hopped in the car. It was getting late. I was super hungry, and so it was a whole thing of like, well, I could either go to the hotel and drop everything off, and then walk to Epcot and maybe barely make it in, or I could just go straight to Universal, which I know is going to be open later, and I can get food and see all these decorations. I'm like, I'm going to Universal.
So you're saying you didn't want to repeat it when we went?
Yeah, it was almost going to be that. And I had actually originally aimed to go to Universal, but it was going to be really close. And I'm like, I don't know, this is probably not the best thing to do.
Sure.
And I'm like, forget it. I'm just going. And actually that came in mind where I'm like, I could try for Epcot, but I don't know if I'm going to make it. And this is going to be
missed it by like 15 minutes.
Yeah. And that's kind of what was going to maybe happen. So Universal Studios was open like an hour later than Epcot. So I'm like, oh, I'll make it, no problem. And yeah, so that's where I went to first. This is quite a bit of the pictures from that. So Zeus Landing in particular had tons of lights that were put up, and that was one of the things that I wanted to see. That's their Dr. Seuss area. And so this is probably not even doing justice. I mean, there was just tons of decorations all around. So
which surprises me because I really don't make that connection between Universal in Florida and holiday decorations. I do in California, but that's a different ballgame.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that even Hollywood, they've had as much as this. I mean, this was also Islands of Adventure specifically, so I think they even wanted to like bring in more. I think we went through some of the Hogwarts ones. They did projections on Hogwarts, or on Hogwarts specifically, and then lights around Hogsmeade. And they were doing some other stuff during the day. I didn't. So the first trip, I don't know how in order we're going to go, but mostly I just looked around. What did I even go on? I went on the Seuss trolley. That's the only ride that I went on that night. So I literally ran in, was taking tons of photos. There's like a short line for the Seuss trolley thing. Just hopped on. I think I got butterbeer fudge, and that was it. Like that was my my night pretty much. So that.
And I didn't even know they had butterbeer fudge until you just now said it, because never been to Universal.
Pretty much, it's like the Forrest Gump shrimp of Harry Potter. It's like whatever you could think of with butterbeer. They have
everything.
Yeah, fried butterbeer, baked butterbeer, butterbeer with grits, probably something like that. I don't know.
So all of this is the first night you got into Florida.
So this is now actually the next day, the second day at Universal, but not the second consecutive day.
Oh, okay.
So reasons why I went to Universal, they had the Macy's Day Thanksgiving balloons up in a warehouse type thing, and I think we even have a video of that now. I put a video up. So wanted to go through that. That was a big thing. And they had a nice, what they call a tribute store. So it's an entirely a store, but you kind of go from room to room, and it's highly decorated and themed to different things. And so they had a little bit of to like look through at this store. So those are the two main things that specifically Universal Studios that I wanted to do that were Christmas related. They didn't have as much decoration. The decorations on the outside were of Universal Studios as opposed to Islands of Adventure were more like what you think of it for Main Street, like light poles and garland traditional and stuff like that. Yeah. So Christmas tree, as we can see.
And if you have any questions, feel free to throw them into the chat. And Murray will respond to them. And if he doesn't, I will call him out and make sure that he does.
Oh, here's the tribute store. So this was, I think the Grinch room. Yeah, there we go. So, so each room of the store was themed, and they had specific Christmas merchandise that was
kind of fun,
fitting the theme. Yeah,
that's cute.
Yeah.
And so, when was the second time you went there?
Second time was actually in 2021, January 2nd. So the first time was December 27th. Yeah, I think something like that. I think is when I got in. So I went once in 2020 on this trip, and then once in 2021 to
but
Universal
not in the year
Studios.
2000.
But not in the year 2000. No.
Which is still the best late night sketch I think ever. Like I don't know. For some reason, I felt like in the year 2020 that sketch keep coming into mind just because of all the crazy things. And I don't know. I miss it. That was Conan at his best. Angela's asking, and I'm getting a weird upload overload. Did you get any of the tribute store treats? They looked good.
What did I get? I got in a type of eggnog, an Earl the Squirrel eggnog. Okay. That's what I got. So, and it came with, I don't know if a picture will come up. It came with I think they call it like a coconut cake or something. It was just like, it was on skewers, and they just put it on top. So, it was I didn't know it had it at first, but hey, you got
a lot of treats on this trip. Like, I feel like we could do a complete live stream on just the food that you got on this trip, particularly at downtown Disney or Disney Springs. Some habits are hard to give up, but
I'm missing some things. I think I was saying earlier, but at Disney Springs particularly. So, yeah.
So these balloons that we're seeing that are the massive balloons, were they used in the Macy's non-parade this year?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Apparently we finished the video.
No. I'm gonna actually, while we're talking about it, I'm gonna have the walkthrough up. Cool. I have no idea. They had no explanation at all of like why they have these balloons, except for that, like obviously there's some Universal characters going on. So, and I'm taking, like, you got the Minions. Oh, what's that?
You shot this on your GoPro?
I did, yeah.
Amazing technology.
So I was able to do GoPro, and then you can see me shooting some photos. They had Santa, which we'll see in a little bit, I think, if we get that far. But I mean, these are massive balloons. I always knew they were big, but like they're kind of crazy. And what's weird is like they have them distanced enough that like they're big, but you like don't fully get close to them to really like know. But at one point they have like stilt dancer walker behind some ropes, but next to this giant nutcracker. Oh yeah. She's behind some ropes, so it's okay. But there's like the giant nutcracker balloon like right beside her, and it's ginormous. We'll probably see it, I think, or you can see it in the back in the distance, the nutcracker one, but like it is just huge. So like you see it and you don't get close to the balloon, but like you could see the difference in the size, and it's crazy.
The scale really is impressive.
Yeah. So, as big as they look on TV, oh yeah, they're.
So is this in like a big? Is this in like a big stage, like a filming stage kind of thing, or
something? I don't know if they ever filmed anything there, so I don't know what actually they used. I mean, it's just basically a warehouse. So, but they just have it. So, it was behind. So what's funny is like it's a warehouse that's like behind a stage. So I don't know.
It's not like if you were in a studio. This isn't a shooting stage. It's just a warehouse.
Yeah. And then I have no idea what they normally do. I know they've had the balloons there before, but I don't know. Or what? I think they've actually used them in parades. They'll like use a few at Universal Studios. So they'll have like a small parade.
Gotcha. And there's Santa.
But yeah, and Santa was really fun, actually, even though this was January 2nd. Just nice to yeah,
he's getting ready for 2021's Christmas.
Yeah, Yeah. Or it's his
Huh.
break. It's his break before, so
Yeah, totally.
he got some time to
So
talk. So
your first evening and then middle of your trip was at Universal. Where was your first day in Walt Disney World?
the first day was Magic Kingdom. I had to think.
Okay.
It was it was quite a few.
That vaguely rings a bell. Like we were texting every day, but
there's quite a few other parks too. So I think figuring out all of them.
well, it was funny this trip because I feel like we had more fun with you being on this trip after our trip, just because like I think our trip in September is going to go down into history as one of my favorite trips to Walt Disney World, period. Partially because we have such unique humor together, and but also partially because the parks were so empty in September, and we were able to do literally anything we wanted at just about any time, other than a lot of the restaurants were closed, and the transportation I don't think was everything we could hope it would be. But those are pretty. But compared to September crowds, how did you feel like this trip was?
Yeah, so I guess I didn't fully answer all the safety stuff. So around the holidays, it was much busier, but at the same time, not as busy as when I've had trips other years in the parks. So I've most consistently gone in summer times. And I've gone a couple times for some races, or I went one time around Marathon Weekend, which was a little after holidays. So similar to the time that I just went. And it was busier during these holiday times. There was definitely spots where it got bottlenecked. And so it was kind of this weird, like, how am I going to space out from the crowd? Unfortunately.
Did it feel like in those moments, did you have a feeling of like, I don't feel safe, or was it just like this isn't super comfortable?
This is more than uncomfortable.
Okay.
It was like, because at first it's like, oh my gosh, what is happening? I don't want to go this way, but this is the only way to something. And as I would like kind of get through, there was like a space. I think the times that it wasn't was like some of the parade or cavalcades, like there would be people that would go right beside.
Right.
I think the one thing that they're not doing too well for these crowds, I hate to just call something out, but I think it is that cast members are trying to help, and so they're trying to have everyone go to the side. I would notice them, like I could have blown up, but I would notice that
that's a good one though.
that they're trying to also like help people. So they notice that I'd be standing in a spot, and then they're trying to get people to go stand on the side, who are walking, and they try to direct them, but like they're just in front of the parade, they got to keep walking ahead of it. And so basically the people would go right beside him. I think I even maybe messaged you one time. I almost got run over by a wheelchair.
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah.
And which was unfortunate. Like I feel bad because I know, like I want this family to see it, but at the same time is like, you really can't, like, don't push me out of the way at the same time.
Right. Especially if you're waiting.
So yeah. And I think that's the whole thing is that it's hard to direct them over, and it's hard to direct in a way that people are spaced out. And so that's probably the one time that it's like, this is not good. But that was it. Like it's just a few of the cavalcades that was happening. But for the most part, like the crowds, like
those were definitely a highlight when we were there. And it's like, you love the cavalcades, but they're also a crowd suck. Like they really pull in people when they're like, oh, music, let's go to the parade route.
Yeah. Yeah. And during that time,
see your picture right there, like you can see in the background how many people are up against the parade route.
Yeah, which even that, like that was probably more spaced out than it really looked. I think that's a hard thing of like photos.
I agree.
Not gonna show space that well, but it did happen. It wasn't. I think where where I feel okay is it happened outside, and so as much as I read and research, there's a degree of there is a little bit of safety outside, and so I end up being kind of okay with that in some degree. So then the lines itself, like there's times where it's like I knew that probably whatever time that they had for the ride was not what it was going to be. It was going to be shorter, but I was like, no, that's okay. So I just wouldn't go on them even still. But there still were somewhat short lines. It just they always looked longer just because they'd be spaced out. So like something that we didn't see is like Peter Pan would wrap into Harbor House. They were actually opening up Harbor House not for food, but just to have as more queue.
So it's still Peter
Pan. It's still closed, unfortunately. Yeah.
Bummer.
So
that's always I always love Harbor House because it just has such a nice vibe.
Yeah. The food is
okay too, but
yeah, some of the food
really
is at Tomorrowland Terrace, but yeah, yeah. So there were more crowds holiday times. By the second week, it actually died down a lot, and there was really not very many people at the parks, really at all. So, or it was going back to like the September, August time where
that nice empty. You can walk around Epcot in the morning and it's empty. I was just looking at my Morocco video from September and realizing how ridiculous it was to walk around Morocco and basically see like 4 people.
Yeah, it got down to something like that. I think especially at actually not as much at some of the time that second week at Epcot, just because there was Festival of the Arts going on. But
a
lot of the other parks, I was getting there and it was a little bit of a bizarre thing, especially like the week before. There's just always people because we had some good times. I think at night at Epcot, even where it's like the park is still open, but nobody's sticking around. Yeah.
Right.
And so that was a weird feeling. That didn't happen that first week, centered around right after Christmas and then right around New Year's. So there was like when Epcot was closing, there was still plenty of people trying to get on stuff. So
on your first day at Magic Kingdom, did you get to see the projections and like the little pyro effects?
I did. Yeah. This was probably a very funny trip. I kept realizing because it was more centered around seeing the holiday stuff and Festival of the Arts. And so like I think the times before have been like, oh, I want to go on rides, I just want to take pictures in general.
Right.
This was very much no, I want to see specific things, and it's not necessarily rides, and it's not necessarily all the atmosphere. It's specific atmosphere. So then projections. Yeah, so that was one of the big things, was trying to get all the projections, trying to see them all. I think the general Christmas feeling. There's Jingle Cruise. I'm trying to think what else at Magic Kingdom. And I went at the time where like, what's weird is usually I feel like holiday stuff at the parks lasts until like a week into January.
Right. It seemed to go away really fast.
This was ending on the 30th technically, and then I think it was going to the 31st on Epcot, and Epcot specifically. So this was like, okay, I'm here. You know, I've got a park each day for 20th, 29th, and 30th. Like,
yeah,
I just gotta like go do it and get as much as I can. And so yeah, and then it was going to be gone. So although it kind of wasn't in some ways, which I might get to. I keep saying I might get to stuff. So if anyone wonders, you can ask a question, then we'll get to it. But
please ask questions. We're more than happy to try to answer. And by we, I mean Murray.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it was, decorations on Main Street, Jingle Cruise, projections on the castle. I'm trying to think if there was something
and Cosmic
else.
Rays. Like that's always very special.
Yes. No matter what season.
I mean, the food's not fantastic, but the atmosphere kills it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Oh,
just
the
remember we
cavalcades.
bought those really fancy burgers and we're like, they're okay, but this is so much
But
better.
it's Sunny Eclipse, so yeah.
Exactly.
Which tribute to Kevin Rafferty, who announced his retirement this week.
Totally.
In a couple months, and he did Sunny Eclipse, and so
It's fitting.
I'm glad for his career.
So what was your second day?
Second day was studios. I ended up going to there, and that again was like a lot of the decorations. I think studios has the best decorations.
Oh, I 100% agree.
I would dare say,
because they have that nice retro, like it kind of feels like your grandma's house.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just has a very classic feel to it.
Mm-hmm. So, gosh, I'm trying to think what. Oh, I did get on Rise of the Resistance. Thankfully, that was trying out the new system with the 7 a.m. thing, and ended up getting, I think, like a pretty low boarding group. So I think
Did you do that from the hotel or did you do it in the park?
did, yeah. I was able to do it from the hotel. So
okay.
Yeah, I know it was like in the morning is actually when I went on. So and that was actually really, really nice because of
quicker than us.
Yeah. And I think one thing I've noticed is that it is running more smoothly. Like it doesn't seem to have as many breakdowns, and then it's getting up and running, and it seems to be getting into the like group 100 or like the group number in
are going higher.
Hundreds, yeah. Group number,
which you would hope because it's been open a year now, so you would kind of hope they're getting that groove of like, hey, this is working, and we know how to keep moving it.
I feel like that they're there, maybe not completely, but there's definitely progress, and so
I hope that translates to Disneyland whenever it reopens.
Mm-hmm.
Like they pass that knowledge forward, and
I would imagine, it'll be. It's interesting.
If and when Disneyland reopens.
And I really wonder like what it was exactly that they had to do in some ways, because it's like it's not like it's closed down, since it reopened, it's not like it's closed down for them to do anything different. It's just
right,
we'll do this. I don't know. So
let's push this button.
Yeah. I kind of wondered if something like that. So but yeah, I did Runaway Railway, I think, at Studios. I'm trying to remember all the other things because, like I said, a lot of it was just decorations. Looking around, taking pictures. I'll see if I can pull some of that up. They did some projections on Tower of Terror. And I'm trying to think what other decorations they really had. I think that was most of their decorations. I'm trying to think where else they had them. I think that was about it, which is nothing new. Like the castle projections at Magic Kingdom were different this year, or last year. But
the Tower of Terror ones were the same as what I saw last year or whatever when I went.
Yeah.
Angela's asking how easy it was to get reservations for the parks that you wanted each day, with it being peak holiday season. Did you miss doing anything? Was it hard? All that stuff.
Everything except for originally I was going to do Magic Kingdom for New Year's Eve. And by the time I made park reservations, that was completely booked for everyone, not just resort guests. But and then from there, it was still easy because I think this was like at the beginning of December I was making them. And so it was easy to get an Epcot one for New Year's Eve, which was the second choice. When I was there, I heard and observed that all the passes were gone for New Year's Eve, for example. So,
for Epcot
so that
too?
in particular, for Epcot too, yeah. So that, for example, was maybe the most difficult. For everything else, really, I've not ever had a problem. And even that, trying to get New Year's Eve, that was not really a problem. It just, I knew it was a possibility the way everything was working out that I might not get Magic Kingdom. And so that's why I thought of, well, I'll just do Epcot if worse comes to worse. So, and I think it ended up working out better. I think enjoyed Epcot a lot more. So, and how that worked out.
It seems like Epcot can handle more people easily. And it's always weird because I feel like I should like Magic Kingdom the most. But then we go there and I'm like, oh, this is fun, but I don't love the food. And I love, like, from a photography standpoint, love Magic Kingdom. And even the attractions are a lot of fun. But then I always kind of find myself being like, I'm ready to go back to Epcot. Like, it's one, like, we kind of have, we talked about it multiple times when we were there in Florida, is there's always something to do or to eat or whatever in Epcot. And then, which it looks like we're back in Epcot now in this video. And
thought I'd bring this up.
At Magic Kingdom, you kind of hit that point of like, oh, I'm waiting for the sunset, or oh, I'm waiting for the pyro with the projections, or whatever it is. And so now I see we're moving to Epcot, and I see Tracy is asking, are more shops open in Epcot now?
More shops from August time? No.
In the AP shop.
So basically, no. The AP shop actually wasn't open. I think it might.
Oh, bummer.
I don't know. I don't know if it was open to something else when we were there. Probably not. I think that's the only thing that's been like open and closed. Everything.
I think that side was closed when we were there. Because remember
it was still closed.
East side was open, but the west side of Germany was closed, other than to get drinks.
West side of Germany, but anyway, history joke for everyone.
Yeah, I just that. Well played.
I have to study a lot about Germany. That's probably why I'm privy to that. But no, yeah,
I was there in 1999. You could definitely tell the difference between the East and the West. Anyway, keep going as we watch for Figment in his I think holiday sweater.
Shot, but you can kind of see it, which I loved. That was a wonderful. So this was actually the third day.
I really just want that sweater.
Epcot. I do too. Nothing except for in person, I think, like does it justice. Like I think some people have seen pictures and they're like, oh, I don't know about him having it. Oh, it was so great. It was such a great sweater. I was jealous of Figment. I'm usually not jealous of Figment.
That's funny.
So it was a wonderful sweater. Wardrobe did a great job.
Okay.
So yeah, Epcot was, I guess, just to move into Epcot was the third day. Mostly studios was Christmas. That's like all I did. And so Epcot had some great features for the holidays. They always have the food booths, and then everyone was surprised this year with Figment. And then Living with the Land has a whole Christmas lights thing inside.
Yeah, I love that
greenhouse, which I'm glad they had it last year, and gotta stop saying last year because that was 2020. They had it 2 years ago is when they started it, and so I was glad that they brought it back. I
want to experience that someday. It looks super cool.
I really hope they keep doing it. I can't imagine that they've gotten like bad feedback, and I think that park has always needed something holiday-ish a little bit more because they don't do as much decoration. It's just
at least the Future World portion of it, because they got the Festival of the Holidays in the World Showcase, and then Future World just kind of like is what it is.
Mm-hmm. So it's nice that they're doing stuff like that. I mean, who knows? Maybe we go through snowing test track. I don't know, but
that'd be fun. I'm game.
Just maybe not on the 65 mile an hour part, but I'm trying to think what else. So Epcot was primarily about getting a lot of this. Like it was, and I think I was seeing Angela's question a little bit more of like, did I miss out on doing anything? I don't feel like I did, but it just was like I had to be really specific and I had to just like go for it, whatever I did, in terms of like the holiday stuff. Because
Was that because of other people being around or a line, or what was that?
I think a line, and then and I even had kind of forgotten about certain things. Like I had forgotten about there was at least one cavalcade in Epcot that was different. That was a holiday themed, and so it was a matter of like, so not just in that park, but the other parks of like, okay, I don't know when the cavalcade's coming. I've got to kind of wait around. And I think, learning from the last time with the Halloween ones, it's like, okay, I kind of think I know how they're going to be timed. That it's like, once I find one, probably in 10 minutes, another one's going to come out. And so I just have to like catch this one, wait there, and another one's going to come.
And there's the sweater.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's the whole thing, is like knowing which one I was seeing in the order. And Magic Kingdom was kind of the funny one of like, I thought I figured out the order right away, and then they played around with it slightly, and so I ended up catching them all. But it was like this weird like, oh, I don't think I did. Like I've got to go back or make sure. So
but the nice thing is we've now gone so many times, and you've gotten in particular so many times, that I feel like it's taken a level of stress off of trips to Florida where you're like, oh, I have to hit everything. Whereas this time it was like, I want to hit this, I don't care about that, and I want to hit this.
And that was something talking to some other people who knew what I was like in August, because August was like, it was not a tiring trip, but like it should have been a tiring trip, because I just went from like ride to ride to ride to ride.
Yeah, you were getting everything.
That was the time that I'm like, I have not done this for some months. I want to just go for it. And then when I went with you, I think we were trying to hit some rides, but like it was a little more about what can we see, what can we take some photos of and observe. And I think this was even more of that, where I'm just like, I don't know, I just want holiday stuff. So like, I think the Castle Predictions, I waited around for like 40 minutes or something like that. Like,
like 45 minutes from what you said. Yeah,
I think something like that. And it was just to get the first one with video and photos, and like, and had it been like August, I don't know if I would have done that. I think it would have been like, I want to go on a ride. Like I've been on Pirates of the Caribbean for, X amount of months. So, yeah, this was much more relaxed of a trip. There was some rides that like, I think I would typically go on and I didn't. And I'm like, I'm good. Whatever the next time I come, I'll just go on it. That's fine.
It'll be fine.
I didn't go on Frozen, actually, so I have no idea what the plexiglass is like that. That was one ride I didn't end up going on at all. So, and there were some chances I just, was like,
because that's, as much as I thought they did a really nice job with that attraction, it's one of those ones where it's like, I've been on it, I don't need to go on it for a couple more trips. Whereas I feel like what you're showing right now, that's one we go on every trip. I feel like Journey into Imagination we go on every trip. Spaceship Earth we go on every trip, which ironically is all Epcot things. But
yeah,
like Magic Kingdom, I don't know that there's any one attraction that I feel like I have to go on every trip, because it's really just about being there and being in a Magic Kingdom. And Hollywood Studios, I feel the same way. It's like I kind of like it, but I don't have like that one attraction that I'm like, oh, I have to go on this attraction. Traditionally, be more about the entertainment there. And then as you hop over to Animal Kingdom, yes, you always have to go on safari. I feel like I try to get on on a Flight of Passage every flight or every trip, but that's kind of, that's I'm not going to wait 3 hours for it.
Yeah, I didn't go on River of Journey at all. And I think I've usually, don't know if I've usually gone on it
River Journey is the one we went
every
on.
trip. We did get on it.
The
Yeah,
Kali.
the last, or the Navi, the Pandora.
Oh, that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was thinking the River Rapids.
Oh yeah, no,
Which-
that one I skip all the time. Yeah,
That one, I will admit, I was glad we went on it because now I can say I've done it. But there wasn't a whole lot to it. It was like, oh, that's a really cool event. Like the highlight of that attraction was Expedition Everest View. Like that was cool. Yeah. And I was like, I really wish I had my camera out, but I don't want to ruin my camera. But this is a really cool view. And the rest of it was like, oh, okay, that's fun. This GoPro works really well.
Oh, this was actually a phone.
No, I mean on Kali River Rapids. Like I feel like the GoPro was really like it showcased how good the GoPro was when we were on that. But no, this looks gorgeous. And to me, it's funny watching these videos and hearing you talk because I feel like especially during the holidays and moving into Taste of the Festival of the Arts, say that fast 5 times. But I feel like it really comes down to Walt Disney World. The centerpiece of Walt Disney World really becomes Epcot all of the time. And that's interesting to me because you think of Walt Disney World's going to have its 50th anniversary in 8 months, 9 months. And and I saw that the reservations for Magic Kingdom are sold out for the October 1st day. And I'm like, well, I almost would rather be at Epcot because Epcot's kind of the heart of Walt Disney World.
And I thought about that too, and it also shares an anniversary on October 1st. It's not maybe a Milestone one, but it's still the anniversary of that too. So
sure,
yeah. So,
and you were there for a Milestone birthday of Epcot, weren't you?
No, I've sadly not been.
Oh, okay. I was thinking you were there a couple of years ago.
No, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah,
you were there after.
I tried to be. I thought about
merchandise, huh?
I just had the merchandise. Yeah, that's
okay.
Honestly, like I really do have the merchandise. I was not actually there, so.
No, because you brought me back the mug, didn't you?
No, I think we had.
Or was it?
I think it was Mr. Roger himself that brought it back.
Oh, you got me the ornament.
I think that's what I did.
That's what it was. I was like, you got me something.
Yeah,
that's right. I always thought this scene in Living with the Land was like I always find it super peaceful, but also kind of out of place.
The
big screens because you go from this very organic, everything is organic to suddenly like, hey, look at these big screens.
Yeah, well, and even animatronics before it. So. Which actually, I don't have this uploaded yet. Everyone who's watching live is getting this kind of sneak peek of the video I took of the Christmas version of Living with the Land. So as we move to the greenhouse.
With the plastic walls or screens or whatever they're called.
So you can see what I'm talking about. This was a bit of a trick for me to figure out how am I going to get all these Christmas lights. With the, yeah.
I feel like we could do this in my front yard, though.
I actually was looking at stuff and I'm like, yeah, I need to take better notes and like figure out what I would want to do. I got some ideas. Yeah.
Yeah, you could do some stuff out on your patio. Like that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. There are things to do. So, but yeah, it's definitely still, I think, one of the like really nice, fun things that that they have, and to have it at Epcot, I think.
And you need to do it at night. It looks like.
It's only at night. There was, what day was it? I think it was, maybe it was New Year's Eve.
Mm-hmm.
I almost want to say it was, no, I don't think it was New Year's Day. I think it was New Year's Eve. They had them on during the day. I went once during the day.
That's random.
And then at night. Yeah, and was trying to figure it out. I think they just had it on all day just because it was New Year's Eve or something. But I don't know if they usually do because I didn't go on during the day because I just figured nothing was going on with it. I might as
And
well
why
go at
would
night.
you? Yeah.
Yeah. The other funny thing is it had longer lines during the day.
That
So
makes no sense.
there would be like actual like 20-minute lines during the day, and then it was a walk on at night every single time. So
That is really weird.
I don't know. I like they might need to like this last time it was advertised much more to say, hey, there's something going on at Living with the Land. The first time they ever put these lights in, there was not much advertising at all. Like you had to know it from like news on Twitter or happen to see there's a sign somewhere or go during the day and see, oh, there's going to be lights at night. So, but yeah.
It really is pretty though.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't experienced this at Christmas time, and that's because the year I went, which was 2 or 3 years ago, that I don't think they'd started doing this yet.
No, yeah. It's been pretty new. So, and what's interesting is they do keep adding something every year so far.
I love that.
That's new. So it was Living with the Land, then it was Imagination this last time. So yeah, there might be like snow at Test Track. I mean, you might just get snow.
So throughout Epcot, since we're watching an Epcot
Holiday
video,
Spaceship Earth maybe or something. Sorry, just had to do that.
I'm all for that, even if it's only projections. What would you say was your favorite part of the holidays at Epcot?
Oh, I think it's actually this. Living with the Land is one of my favorite rides at Epcot. And then to have the lights up just made it even more kind of whimsical. Or
there's a magic to it.
Special. Yeah. It's funny to say they are just really nice lights.
They are. It's the Disney version of it. Like it's not just going partially. It's like there's some thought behind it that really looks nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it is very much like making an already nice and relaxing ride that much more special. That was the highlight, I think. So I was enjoying
the other thing I'm curious about with Epcot is they've added the new harmonious barges. Now there's 2 of them, but there was one while you were there. What do you think of that?
That ended up surprising me just because I thought it would be a lot bigger than it ended up being, and so it is big. It's very big, but it wasn't as distracting as I thought it would be. You couldn't see through it, of course, but like at least like it didn't hinder too much of the view when you look across things. And then if you couldn't get a certain view of looking at something, then you just move over a little bit and then you end up doing it. So
it'll be interesting to see when there's all of them up, and then also how much water noise there is. Because I don't think the visibility. I think visibly it's gonna be beautiful. Like I think when you've got the fountains going, that's gonna look really cool. And I actually think it's gonna feel a little bit more magical when you walk into that area, especially as you're coming from Future World into World Showcase, because then instead of just this big empty lagoon, you're going to have fountains going, and that'll be magical. But I am curious how loud that's going to be.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. I'm hoping that they do almost like more of a spray or something. I mean, I don't know if that's what it's going to be, but if they're...
Think of Phantasmic at Disneyland. Like even a spray has a level of volume to it. So I'm really like, I don't have an answer for this. I'm just curious if it's going to be one of those things. And then also I'm curious if they do something like they did with Fountain of Nations, where there's like, if there's every 15-minute show or whatever it is that something they're going to play the music all the way around World Showcase, or will it be certain areas? Like it'll just be interesting to see how it changes the mood and the feel of the park when you're walking around it.
Which I actually almost hope that they don't do Music. I have my doubts on if they would, just because there's specific music for each pavilion. Also,
That's a big part of my question mark. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So what other parks did you hit?
It was mostly a lot of Disney World, and then Universal. At least
Did they do anything for Animal Kingdom for the holidays, or was it more traditional?
They did some decorations, and then so that was the one park that I ended up sacrificing in terms of holiday stuff, just to hit all the other ones. Because, like I said, I really just had 3 days to hit holiday.
Right,
and
it's gone so fast.
Yeah, so looking at Animal Kingdom, they had some Tree of Life shows. They do projections on there, but I've seen them before, because they had them last time, and they're great. But I think the castle projections were so new, I wanted to hit that.
Okay.
And then the other decorations, I've heard that they added a little bit this last time, but I couldn't fully tell. I couldn't even remember exactly all the decorations that I saw before, but those are relatively the same, where it's mostly also in the main plaza area, on like the shops on I forget, one of them's like something Traders, I think, and all something out. There's like Outpost and Traders or something like that, like on across from each other. And they're really great decorations. Like I don't have a problem with them. I think it's just, out of all the parks, it's like they're the most
fantastic
subtle.
as some of the other ones.
Yeah, I think they're just subtle. Let me see if I can actually bring some up. But other than that, they have stuff in Pandora.
I remember hearing that.
And again, it's just that whole thing of like, I saw them before, so I wasn't eager to give up another day with Animal Kingdom as opposed to like Epcot or Studios. So
right.
So that was kind of the decision behind that. But
so the second half of your trip was really all about Festival of the Arts and kind of post-holiday things like that. What did you think, first off? Like, what were some of the highlights of Festival of the Arts?
Well, we might be skipping ahead. There's a couple things that I got to do.
Okay, fire away.
All right. Because there was New Year's Eve, which was Epcot, and then
totally.
Shortly after that was actually Night of a Million Lights at Give Kids the World. I was able to do.
Oh, totally.
And that was actually probably somewhat Disney related in a funny way. There's sort of this funny, like, they can neither confirm nor deny some things. They
in what regard?
So Disney, they had a sign up at the thing, and Disney said, "We donated these lights. We donated over 3 million lights."
Okay, gotcha.
That's all they said. So there's not a confirmation not a confirmation or denial, but everybody just kind of generally knows this was the Osborne Festival of Lights that got transported to Give Kids the World. And so that's where it's Disney related, is this is essentially like a lot like what I have seen at the studios, but like in a different format, but like obviously it's smaller houses as opposed to like a giant backlot. So
sure.
But oh my word, just the campus itself, I was amazed at how huge it was. I didn't check on how big they were saying it was. It's 89 acres, and I didn't know that going in. And so a lot of this was like, I'd just start walking, and there was like houses, and then like I thought I would just reached an end. It's like, okay, and I know there's like some area with a pool where there's ice cream, so I gotta head to there. And suddenly I'm like, oh wait, I'm going down another path. Like I go to the right, and there's still a bunch of houses, and then you go down another way, and there's a bunch of houses, and it just was crazy how huge this campus is.
How much was it to get into it?
About like $40, I think,
Okay.
so per person.
But that's for
and all of it,
so.
right? And so like even to say or mention, I mean, this is a wonderful organization and place that they do no cost for families to stay here, and it's families that have kids who are I keep forgetting how to say it. They're not they're just not doing well. There's probably a chance that they're not gonna get through some of their illnesses or stuff, and so this is them fulfilling wishes.
I always feel like usually, it's a mix between Make-A-Wish and Chalk.
It is. It's they do have some care facilities there, and then they set it up so that because they have been in Orlando, a lot of the wishes are like not just Disney World, but Universal or Legoland or SeaWorld
or whatever.
Yeah, they're able to house them and then provide. This was a miniature golf course that they put lights on, and so they have little things like that where it's like, oh, maybe the family gets a day at Disney World, but then what do they do for a couple other days? Well, they have like rides, they have ice cream parlors, they have movie theaters that show movies that are like in the theaters at that time. And cool. All of it's totally safe and great for the families. And so it just was a wonderful, an amazing fundraiser. I'm glad that they were able to do it. And it's going to be kind of a once in a lifetime thing because I think they already started letting some families back as of now.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So they're not looking to maybe do this at the end of this year. So they might, I don't know, because I think this is a huge hit for a lot of people. So, but
safety issue and all that stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll see. This was, like I said, a lot of the miniature golf course. So I'll just go real quick. Like this is their main village area. How
many lights did you say were used there?
They said 3 million lights. So,
I believe it. That's really cool.
Just crazy amount. So
it kind of reminds me of ABC did this show called The Christmas Light Fight. And
I can see someone fighting to do some stuff with it. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So
you had this, and then you also had New Year's Eve, you said.
I did, yeah. So I got to go to Epcot, like I keep saying, and even though it was, reservations were taken up, it wasn't that busy really, and it actually was dying off as it got later in the day.
Why do you think that was?
I think it's been a weird.
Where else can you go for New Year's Eve when everything closes?
Well, and Disney was trying to make it clear there was nothing that was going to be special going on.
Right.
There ended up not being, and that was fine. But Magic Kingdom was open until 11, Epcot was open until 10, and so it's like, well, yeah, wouldn't you want to stay at a park until
you could
as late as you could, and then move on to your hotel or something?
Did you see the people that stayed at Magic Kingdom till midnight, and all they got was the "Please go home" speech?
No, I didn't know that, but I wondered if that was
It was pretty funny because they broadcasted of the "Thank you for coming, please go home." The really nice Disney way of hey, we're trying to get rid of you thing.
Disney announcer voiceover.
Funny.
Admittedly, I think I would have been one of those people, and that was my thought and aim for Magic Kingdom was I just want to stay there until midnight. I wasn't anticipating them doing anything. It's just that whole thing of I'm in a park at midnight. That's awesome.
Special.
So, but what I ended up doing is I think not even halfway through my time, I didn't even get to Epcot until the afternoon because I'm I'm going to be here until 10. Why, I don't need to be here all day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's where I think a lot of people just went during the day and got through all the rides and all the food and then was well, I'm good. Why are we going to stay until 10? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and there were activities at the hotels. and I was kind of looking at that. But what I ended up doing was I actually found out that there was a reservation at the restaurant at the Yacht Club Hotel, which is just a walk right outside Epcot, for like a little after 10 or something like that. So like 10:30 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just something where it's like, well, yeah, I'll just kind of hang out there until
midnight.
And then I know there's people around, so it's kind of a solo, I'm sure people are going to cheer and do whatever. And actually it ended up being that. What's that?
They'll do something.
They'll do something, clap, stomp their feet. I don't know. So no, but it actually ended up being something like that. There's a bunch of people in the pool at Yacht Club, staying until midnight. They were doing trivia, like lifeguards were doing trivia, like all this stuff.
We usually close at like 10.
So they were staying open until I think like 1 a.m. Something just absolutely crazy.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
There's tons of stuff that was open until 1 a.m. That's not
Okay.
usually, like all the quick serve, the market. The restaurant oddly was not. It closed at 11, but they took my reservation at like 10:30, which whatever. Yeah, it ended up being something that people cheered for and yelled, cool. And then found out that there's fireworks in the distance. We still don't know where in the world these fireworks were at.
I know.
You do? Okay.
One of my friends on social media, it was their neighbor.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fireworks.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, thank you, neighbor. And I'm sorry for the neighbors of the neighbor.
I think they enjoyed it. I don't know for sure, but it was a very weird, like, okay. I mean, I live in Orange County, and New Year's and 4th of July, the entire sky erupts. So I really can't say anything.
Yep. I was kind of thankful in some ways that I was not around Orange County for New Year's Eve this year. I heard something. So, because these were in the distance, so it was fine for those fireworks. And then that was it. Nobody's going to have fireworks on Disney World property, which is where I was staying. So, so New Year's Eve was fun. Give Kids the World was fun. I went by Celebration for the first time, the town that Disney built. That's actually a very nice town.
Yeah.
I highly recommend if actually, let me see if I could bring some things up. Sure. If anyone gets the chance, and this is maybe one reason to actually get a car, because that's about the only way that you're going to go. And so
I heard you can walk there. I heard it's a long walk, but I heard you can walk there.
Yeah, because I think it was like at least 5 miles off property. So
I could do that.
At least. But I mean, granted, that's probably all that you walk within a park. So yeah. Easily. But really charming town. It's totally worth going. It's I feel bad at saying that because I mean it's a town. People are living there. This is apartment buildings or condos that we're seeing right now, and so it's a whole thing of like I hate to advertise that, but I think there's definitely I saw people that were taking pictures too on their phone of like the same things that I was wanting pictures of. So I think there were tourists there that were just like I want to go to Celebration. So but super charming town, and so we got to do that. I've never been at Celebration before, so that's always been something I've wanted to do.
That's cool.
And so yeah, and then you're asking, moving up to Festival of the Arts, right? That was
the exciting part. You know, the part where we did on Geeks Corner the other day, where we did our art.
It's the arts.
You inspired that, so.
I almost forgot. I was actually looking for a video that I took. I got to do maybe before Festival of the Arts. We'll build up to it. That's kind of the grand finale, I think. I got to do 2 things at Disney Springs. I think we were alluding to, and that I'm missing today. I was able to hit Gideon's Bakery before it closed. What's that?
It looked like it was super cool.
It is a wonderful shop. It really surprised me.
And you were there opening day, right?
No, it was during their soft opening, but it was before their.
It was their first soft opening day.
Yeah. I think it had only been open
Saturday is their official opening day.
Mm-hmm. So I'm almost sad in some ways because it it did that weird, like closing to get ready for this grand opening, but it was while I was still there, and so
Didn't get to go back.
I didn't get to go back, but I did. I got like three cookies, 2 cookies, I think, something like that, a cake slice, and some coffee. And
I'd have been good with 1 cookie or cake slice and a cup of coffee, and I'd have been like, I'm good for a week.
yeah, it is. Oh my word! Yeah,
yeah.
We should. But and yet I'm missing it. Like, they were huge cookies, and I didn't like eat them all in one sitting, but they were so good. So next time, if anyone goes to Disney World, you've got to go to Gideon's Bakery.
Where is it at exactly?
It is. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think of how to describe it. It's kind of near the boathouse.
Oh, okay.
Like kind of between, kind of near Raglan.
Yeah.
And then kind of between that and Boathouse in a way. So
on the water side or on the land side? Like if you walk around.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember now.
You get left and you go up to Jocks and you hang a right and go over towards Boathouse. Is that the side it's on, or is it on the back side?
I think it was on the water side, actually.
Okay, my imagination has it on the water side, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I stood in a line, so I don't quite remember. And I can picture looking at the hangar bar.
Yeah, then you're on the water side.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I think it's where, wasn't there like a wine bar or something there before?
They have Wine Bar George. That's still there.
No, the older one.
I think so then. Yeah.
I think there was something like that there. I don't remember exactly, but
yeah,
it's where I think it was or is. I think there was something like that there before.
Yeah. You're going to say something.
Nope. That was it.
So did that. So there's 2 bakeries. So that one, and then got to go to Everglazed on their grand opening.
Yeah, you hit the jackpot on this trip.
Which I was not expecting. I had no idea. I knew Everglazed was existing or like going to be run. I'm like, it's not going to open until like mid-January or something. Right. And then randomly I was looking up stuff and it's like, hey, Everglazed is opening today. I'm like, oh, I got to go.
Which you got the donut or whatever there. And now I really want to try the chicken sandwich. Like the chicken sandwich looks really good.
Now I didn't want to go back while I was there. Now I want to go back. That's the only thing that I'm missing.
But I want to go.
Yeah. Oh, seriously. It was the donuts alone, the coffee was wonderful.
Which is a perfect blend.
Mm-hmm. And I've heard good things about it. I think they have like some fries, like almost like poutine type fries and stuff like that. So just the food in general, I think has hit home with a lot of people. So it's an excellent one. Got to do those. And then I'm realizing we didn't talk about one really big thing that happened.
Oh, yeah. I see it.
At Epcot. That was even before Festival of the Arts, but the wonderful world of pylons and water. So the new fountain at Epcot, that was one of the first things that I bolted to during the holidays, but then kept going back to, I think, throughout the trip. So it's such a simple feature, but there's so much to it, I think. And like the Imagineers did an outstanding job, I think, at making it just a wonderful fountain.
I can't, like, of all the things you saw on your trip, this was the one thing where I was like, I need to go see this.
You just kind of look over at it at night. You just see the lights beaming up. When you go over to watch it, it does change colors, which is amazing. But like in that way, that's kind of mesmerizing. And then I think the way that the water actually falls on the fountain, it just feels futuristic in ways. Like, it's weird to say that like water falling can be futuristic, but I think they did a wonderful job at how that
They got the right vibe.
Yeah. So
yeah, I can't wait to see it.
Amazing feature. So
it looks beautiful.
Mm-hmm. So that was, yeah. So we got to do the pylons. I don't know what to call them anymore. I'm sure it has a name now, but
I think it's the fountain is what technically it is, but yeah.
Yeah. So, so yes. Oh, I'm still looking at the videos. Got to see electrical water pageant.
Oh yeah.
Got to see. I know you're interested in Festival of the Arts. I feel like building up to it again. That's the grand finale. I think we talked about we're going to discuss hotels another time, but
yes.
There's a. I'll just mention briefly. There's the hotels that I stayed at were the Dolphin, and then a cabin at Fort Wilderness, and then Riviera, and all of them were really fun. But I think especially Fort Wilderness and Riviera were tons of fun. And so electrical water pageant was at Fort Wilderness, which I was glad to have booked at. And I booked it before knowing electrical water pageant was coming. And it was just a perfect thing, which...
were you by yourself when you filmed that, by the way?
I was actually by myself, yeah.
It looked like nobody was there with you. And I was just it's everybody.
Or I'm thinking in terms of like my party... Or like if there's other people, like
but there was nobody.
No, there were actually other families that were around.
Okay. It just was so like I don't know. Okay, that's cool.
So yeah, what's nice is we were able to be pretty spread out, and I think that's I would feel like that would typically happen at Fort Wilderness. I think the amazing thing, and I didn't know it, and I kind of was like, I don't think it's going to work where I want to record it, but you can take a golf cart right up to close to the water and watch it. And so people like basically like parked their golf carts and just watched it from there. I did have a golf cart. That's something else I'm sure we'll talk about someday. And, and so it was, I'll just say though, it was a nice thing of like taking a golf cart from my cabin, like, it was like late at night, and like I was doing other stuff and I'm like, okay, time to go electrical water pageant, hopped in the golf cart, went over there, filmed it, and like, all right, time to head back, and just headed back. Like that was it. Like it's fun. It's a nice resort. So, so that was Fort Wilderness. So and Riviera was just awesome. Which little tease of someday we'll talk about.
Maybe next week.
So, yeah. So, so Festival of the Arts. That was one of the huge reasons for going. This is my favorite. I'll fast forward a little bit, won't bore everyone. I think this is my favorite festival at Epcot.
That's what you said. Yeah.
And like I was trying to think through. I know, and I usually say this more of like to actually give reasoning of why I talk about the arts a lot. I am currently getting a degree in art history, and so that's a big part of my life to think about art. And so I was like, am I just biased? Do I just like the Festival of the Arts because I'm...
Did you like my art on Geeks Corner this week?
It is it is art. So anyway, so Festival of the Arts is something that I didn't know if I was too biased with, but talking to other people too, they've said it's their favorite too.
You know why though? Like I was thinking about it too, because you said it was your favorite, and I realized there's a level of depth that's combined with Disney magic that makes the Festival of the Arts so much more special, because you're getting, yes, your Disney magic over here, but you're also getting hundreds of years of inspiration that's put into this art that's combining with Disney magic. And I actually think that's probably one of the reasons it's so special, because I'm sure as you were looking at this stuff, like this is a prime example as we're looking at this wall, is this was a Starry Night inspired Epcot picture, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you start realizing the depth of what you're seeing connected with something you also love. And I just think that's what makes it amazing.
Well, and even to have the World Showcase, because like there's an integration already of art into a lot of the pavilions that is recreations of actual sculptures and paintings and things that are in these countries. So you basically have an art museum and a gallery in the first place. But yeah, it's like you're saying, then there's that layer of, well, now you get to do something interactive that pays homage to this thing in this pavilion or something, and it just sort of has these deep connections and a way to bring the guests involved into it. And so,
well, and even some of the pictures you showed of the art from there, you could see there was inspirations from, you know, really famous artists through the millennia, I guess you could say.
Yeah. So they did an outstanding job with all that.
I will admit, as I'm watching your video, this was my least favorite place in Epcot when we went.
But I will say,
I think how loud it is.
So the funny thing is, loud. Yeah, I think they did a better job. At least like the like loudness of it makes more sense because there's actual artists and art galleries and other things going on within it, plus food.
Is that Ratatouille there?
That's the Ratatouille, the Remy's Ratatouille. Yeah.
Nice.
And then they would do some shows every once in a while. So I think when we went, there was only the piano player, and then they ended up having the artist that sort of performs as he's creating the art, and then also I'm trying to think of what they remember. It's something, I think it's Defying Gravity is the group, but they do some acrobatics, and so
which they're pretty cool. They remind me of the French group.
Which makes me wonder if they were. If like, you know, there's members that sort of go.
It looked like it was different people because the guys in France I recognize through the years as always being the same too. And I noticed there was one girl with this Defying Gravity group, and it looked a little bit different. But yeah.
But
do you have a favorite bite from Festival of the Arts?
I have a favorite.
I know it's a really mean question to ask, but I'm curious.
It's easier to say a favorite booth than a favorite bite.
No, I want the bite. You can say the booth too, but I want
my word. There are like 3 that come to mind. That's still not saying the favorite bite.
Okay, I'll listen to that.
I think it's between the deconstructed Reuben, and then they just released the recipe on Parks blog.
For that,
it's like the dragon fruit dessert that surprised me. That was actually very good.
Okay.
And then I ended up having a really good grilled cheese sandwich with a good tomato soup. And I'm not one to have that.
Where was that one at?
That was at the Popped booth, I think, like Pop. It's where they also have the famous Pop-Tart that they make.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same booth, but they had a grilled cheese with bacon and French onion, and then really good bread, and then a really good actual tomato soup. And I'm not one to have tomato soup usually, so
me either.
Those are really good. Yeah. So this festival, I know there's a whole festival of food and wine. This, I think, has the best food at Festival of the Arts. So all of it is a work of art. Like it's they really emphasize that it's culinary arts, and so it's very presentable. But everything just tastes amazing. I didn't have anything I didn't like. I think that's where it's that hard thing of like, what could I pick out that I really liked? I don't know. Like, I think those come to mind. Like, those are the things that like just immediately come to mind when I think of food. Like, I totally forgot about that pistachio cake. It was really good. It had some cherry with it. It wasn't strong in the pistachio flavor. It just a good dessert. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That painter reminded me of Jimmy Mulligan because he does something similar as well with painting, and I've seen him at Epcot. I would be curious too. Like, to me, my favorite to date festival at Epcot has been Flower and Garden, and part of that is just because of what they've done with the landscaping. Like, I just love all of the flowers. I would love someday to compare this one versus, because I feel like they kind of hit that same emotional tone, because it's one type of art versus the other.
Mm-hmm. Well, the interesting thing is it's not as extensive as Flower and Garden, but they do try to do some topiaries and love the flowers usually, and that's where like it was a really funny thing that they were calling it Taste of Festival of the Arts because I don't know, they had a lot of what they usually have, and I was surprised in that way. They had, actual artists signing their artwork. They had tons of booths for getting art. They had tons of booths for food. They had all those performances like we just saw.
Right.
The interactive.
Well, they also had Voices of Liberty too, right?
Voices of Liberty, yeah. Well, but that was the thing that they switched out. Usually they have Disney Broadway stars come in.
Right. That's right.
But they had Voices of Liberty going through Disney songs. And I think, like, I actually really enjoyed that. And I think I even said to you at one point, like, it hit me that they were all a cappella. Like, it just was this like usually there's a band with the Broadway stuff and so it's a production so this is Voices of Liberty, like there's no band, it's just all them, and like
they're so good.
It was so strong in what they were doing with the songs. So yeah.
So we also have a question in the chat that what are your thoughts on the Taste of the Holiday Garden and Wine, especially compared to the regular Festival of Holidays?
Oh, you mean Taste of Holiday, of Flower and Garden, and Food and Wine of the Arts? No, actually, I didn't have a lot of the Festival of the Holiday stuff. Usually, I'm not too keen on the menus that they have.
Well, to me, when I've been for that time of year before, it's more about the storytelling than it is the food.
Yeah,
like other festivals, I'm like all about the food, but that one I was all about the storytelling, the entertainment.
Yeah, and that's usually when they have it. I know exactly what you're talking about because I'll stop and watch. They'll have some of the like different Santa Clauses represented.
Right, the stories of Christmas, whatever country you're in.
Yeah. So I can't even remember what I had. I think I had something. But I can't. You know what? I had now I'm remembering. I had like a pot pie. It was vegan. It was actually a vegan pot pie with jackfruit. And it was actually really tasty. It had almost like a kind of mushroom gravy with it that surprised me at how good it was. That's the only thing I remember, though.
Okay, so not the same level as Festival of Holidays.
No. I would say not even. I hate to say not even of the same level as like Food and Wine and other stuff. It's not. I
wouldn't expect it to be, though.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing is like Festival of the Arts, you wouldn't think that they would have a lot of food. You can see the Harmonious Barge behind me.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But yeah, you wouldn't think that there'd be a lot of really great food and a lot of food at Festival of the Arts. But I actually think it's better than.
It's really up there. Huh?
Better than Food and Wine and more. So. Yeah, go figure. So I think in that way, like Festival of the Holidays, it could have been possible that they would have a lot, but it was not.
And it might get there someday, to be completely honest.
Right. Yeah. So,
what would you say was the highlight, whether it's food or art or whatever it was? From post Christmas in the parks, what was that top magical thing that you experienced?
So not necessarily Festival of the Arts either, just kind of a top.
Yeah.
Now I have some hotel experience.
I can't do those this one. I'm aware of those.
Just a little tease again.
For the next live stream.
The hotels were more the highlight of the trip overall, if you're not
Okay.
counting the arts, because like having been to the parks and stuff before, like I had unique experiences at the hotels that makes me want to go back again. But I'm trying to think
That was a really
non-holiday.
good tease, by the way.
What's that?
I said that was a really good tease, by the way.
Yeah. We decided that that's a whole like at least hour conversation of what happened at the hotels. Gosh, I'm trying to think what in terms of things that I did.
Well,
honestly, I
listen,
think it's a fountain.
okay, that's
If I could count that. That was kind of throughout, but
I think that's
I
very
just kept
fair.
going back to the Epcot fountain again and again.
That totally
So,
makes sense to me. I think that would be for me too if I were to make a guess from knowing how I work.
Yeah, I think, and it's not like I didn't like other stuff.
Another thing we should tease, Murray, and that is we need to have a discussion at some point moving forward, because you did this, is Rise of Resistance and Flight of Passage. And we're not going to hit that tonight because we'd be going another 2 hours. But that needs to be a discussion. I think we could even bring Katie in on this because she's experienced both of them. But you got to do them both in the same day. So at some point, we need to talk about that too.
Yeah, that was reminding me. I think it just became something that I did every day was park hopping. But I mean, like to also say like how low attendance the parks actually were post holidays. Got on Rise, no problem, and then was looking at Animal Kingdom, and there's not much in terms of lines, so I just went, I'm going over. I'm going to try it, and I think I still made it to like a third park after that or something
well,
crazy.
And I've got quite a few friends that are doing all 4 parks in one day still, and that's pretty cool.
I never tried that. I can tell you exactly why. Like I totally could have.
A little bit. I've done it once, and it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not as relaxing and vacation like as just going to one and then going to Epcot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Is like I would have to think through exactly what I wanted to do, and that was not this trip. This was just kind of like I said, like randomly, I'm like, oh, the lines are small for Animal Kingdom. Yeah, sure, I'll just go over right now. But much more spur of the moment than having to plan out like, okay, I'll hit this park first. I'm going on this ride. Then I'm going to this park and hitting this ride. And that's what you have to do with the 4 park day. So, yeah.
Awesome. So Angela says she can't wait for the hotel discussion. The teases were effective. We are very glad to hear that. And Murray, do you have any big last minute thoughts that you'd like to say before we say goodnight tonight?
I think there's always the question that people are having about safety and is it worth going over right now? I think it is. If you are able to go for it. I always will say
the trip there is the hardest part.
What's that?
The trip is actually the hardest part. Like the flying, I think, is the hardest part, not the actual once you're there.
Yeah. Oh, and even pre-COVID time, I think that's always a bit of a like,
true.
What am I going to do? Or getting back sometimes.
But we've discovered yeah. But we've discovered it's way more fun. You just count the puppies in the airport. Yeah. Fine.
Someday we'll do a live stream of Puppy Watch in the Orlando airport. So, but I think that's what I would say. I know there's wait for vaccinations. I've gone 3 times within all of this, and I know at least for one testing I've been negative, and any of these other times I come back and I've been fine. I don't want to guarantee that for anyone, but I think just to say like,
be safe.
We didn't get to some of the stories. I'll try to do a quick story of safety and what I did. So I was the guy that would point out to the cast members who was not wearing the mask properly. Either like staring at the cast member and like looking over and like, hey, like they took it off when they're doing a photo, like, yeah, I tattled on people. I tattled on people left and right. I didn't care. I directly turned around at one point and told someone, hey, you need to keep a distance. And that was also
you're doing the world a favor.
I feel like it. I have no problem.
Like it's
I don't. Yeah, I don't typically do it. You usually put up with like, when we've done fireworks, like somebody like pushes up against me. I'm like, this is annoying, whatever, like we'll get through it. Oh no, I pointed people out as much as I could. I mean, there's always like the people who want to come into the elevator. I'm like, you're not coming in, like, and just flat out. They're like, hey, you're welcome to come in. There's like 10 of us in here. Nope, I'll catch the next one. I'm good.
So
there's people who don't follow those. So I mean, that's the whole thing. If you're able to, if you know what to do to be safe and follow that, wash your hands all the time. You'll get dry skin. They'll chafe, whatever that happened to mine. Just bring lotion. It's fine. Go for it if you're able to, and if you can take all the safety precautions, it is pretty safe there. So I mean, you can see this is the first day of Festival of the Arts. Like, this is what you would encounter most of the time. So you're able to avoid the crowds.
And I think that's exactly what it is once you're in the parks, you're in a pretty good place. To me, the only part where I even felt remotely uncomfortable was the airports. And and probably in Texas, was the one where it was the most uncomfortable. But even then, I was able to stay away from people. So it really didn't.
Right.
It was like, oh, people are being dumb, but I'm still able to stay away from dumb people. So it's okay. And and I kind of think you can even mitigate that if you're really uncomfortable with that. Get a direct flight with, make sure there's a seat next to you that's empty or whatever. But
if you're able to, and tickets can be somewhat cheap. Like my parents were joking with me of like, at one point, like, oh, I should buy a seat. I think it was like if I got a giant statue or something weird like that. And then I started thinking through it. And I'm like,
I could.
It's really cheap to get a ticket. I should almost do that.
Yeah.
Like I'll just buy an extra seat.
Yeah. And like for some of the airlines, that's totally doable. And I really just think it comes down to mitigating your risks and, who is around you. If you have family members that, maybe you're at risk, then probably not a good idea. But if you live by yourself, you're young and you're not at risk and you're willing to take that risk, there's really no reason not to, because I actually feel like flying to Walt Disney World felt safer to me than going to the local grocery store.
It still feels that way to me. Yeah.
And that's consistent, because every time I go to the grocery store, like I've been known to leave my entire basket at the grocery store if the self-service is not available because the lines are just uncomfortable or whatever in the grocery store. But yeah, no, I think you're totally right. And you look at this and it's virtually empty in terms of how full a Disney park would be. So the next live stream that Murray and I are going to do is we're going to talk. I think the next one will be hotels. Is that right, Murray?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
And,
so
and
our
not
next
just the ones that I stayed at this trip, but I think we were talking about, we're going to talk about a lot of ones that we've stayed at. And
yeah, I think we should talk about all the hotels we've stayed at and the pros and cons of each and what we've loved about them and what we think there's room for improvement for, because there's definitely been some of those things. And between the two of us, we've hit now quite a few of them. And and so I think that'll be an interesting thing. So feel free to join us when we do that one. And we'd love to hear your questions. We'll do our best to answer those. And if we don't have an answer for them, we'll just go back to Walt Disney World, stay at the hotel, and find out for you, because we will suffer for science. Yeah. But I think we've wrapped it up for this week, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so at this point, if you haven't done it already, one, bless you. but because you're in an hour and a half and you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, but you really should, because we've got lots of videos coming up from Murray's trip from when Murray and I went in September. We're still uploading videos, and we've got some other stuff that we continue to post. We've also got live shows that happen every week on DAPs Magic. We've also got Disney Reporter that happens every weekend. And you don't want to miss any of that. So subscribe to that. Subscribe to our website as well, so you don't miss the newsletter that goes out daily with the highlights of the news, which there's been a lot lately. But that's a good thing. That keeps things interesting. But I think for tonight, we are going to say goodnight. And we look forward to seeing you. Hopefully, maybe we'll try it again next week. We'll see what works out for our schedules. But we will let you know on social medias and all that stuff. But thank you for sharing your trip with us, Murray. And for everybody else, we look forward to seeing you in the parks really soon.